been a long, hard and often difficult season. First Division status, though, had been maintained, and the county faithful were quick to acknowledge the heroic achievement. For the players, though, the campaign wasn't over. Less than 24 hours after their final game against Crystal Palace, they would board a plane for the first leg of the club's groundbreaking visit to Western China. Playing football, though, was just a small part of a demanding schedule that had taken more than 12 months to put together.
This football club's philosophy of giving before it takes, and our willingness to help the Chinese and our willingness to get involved with their underprivileged children and help them with their infrastructure struck a chord. And from that moment on, it's been a very, very successful spell and a lot of successful cooperations between us and the Chinese. And here we are, about to go on tour.
Media interest in the historic trip was huge, and major sponsorship had been attracted by its uniqueness.
It's very unique because, of course, we're not the first football club, English football club, to go to China. Liverpool have been there, Manchester United have been there, Watford have been there, West Brom, Crystal Palace, but they've all been there on the same basis. It's always been commercial, and I'm not saying that's the wrong thing to do. They've been over there, they've increased their brand profile, they've made money out of games. In Manchester United's case, they will set up supermarkets, superstores, and come home. Now, that isn't how we operate. Clearly, we haven't got the brand to compete with the likes of those names. And that also, those other clubs have always gone to the east of China. We decided that, we'll go to the west. We won't tread the well-trodden path of the east. We'll go to the west, which is relatively untouched with regards to this country and its teams. And we've been made very welcome, and we've really now got an opportunity to have good business for this football club and develop our brand.
Bellis will be making his third visit to China, but for the rest of the party, both culturally and football-wise, it will be a trip into the unknown.
It is difficult, and it's the unknown. It's a lot easier for me, though, getting on the plane for the tour, because I know what's at the other end. I feel for some of the players, because they're going to have preconceptions, they're going to be frightened of the food, they're already winding each other up, saying that you're going to be eating monkeys' heads and all sorts. Of course, it isn't the case at all. But let them believe it for a few weeks.
Let's be quite honest, we don't know. We don't know what to expect, but I say we're going over there. We've got 4 games to play. We want to be very professional in both on and off the pitch, conduct ourselves well, and hopefully set up good relations for the future.
It's difficult because it's a bit of an unknown quantity. So we obviously have knowledge of some of their players, and I know that they possess a lot of very quick players out there. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. The football side is an education, and it'll be an education culturally as well. So I'm looking forward to it all.
It's going to be a lot of fun, but on a really serious side, they're going to get a lot of pleasure, the players, and it's going to bring them down to earth, meeting underprivileged children in China. They'll get a lot out of that. There's also a lot to be got satisfaction-wise from the underprivileged children coming over here. And long-term, I think there's a really good feel factor about this whole trip.
Wuhan was the first port of call for the 51-strong tour party, who arrived at the industrial city some 22 hours after first meeting at Manchester Airport. Cut in two by the imposing Yangtze River at almost 4,000 miles, the third longest in the world behind the Nile and the Amazon, Wuhan is a city where old meets new. Skyscrapers dominate the landscape. Modern roads and bridges are busy carrying all types of vehicles. Yet just meters away, time stands still as fishermen cast their nets in much the same way as their fathers and forefathers before them. It's a similar scenario at night. Pedestrianised shopping malls with bars, coffee shops and international food chains are well populated by locals enjoying themselves. But just off the beaten track, there's a very different China. The taxi rank is very different, and the fast food outlets certainly are. Checking in at the Suan Gong Hotel, which boasts Chairman Mao amongst its previous guests, the party had a couple of hours to prepare for a special civic reception, which was also attended by the Wuhan Red Heart K players.
和700多万武汉市人民对于你们的来访表示热烈的欢迎。
I would like to express on behalf of Wuhan Mayor and Vice Mayor and 20 million Wuhan people for warmly welcome everybody here.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to express that this is a great honor for Stockport to come to Wuhan to return the return visit that we had in September, where you made us most welcome, and we're delighted to be back.
The banquet received a mixed reaction from the county party. Some of the food was recognisable, some wasn't. The players didn't go hungry though. Help was at hand from a very familiar figure. Yes, a local McDonald's. And right next to the team hotel as well. Match day had finally arrived. Andy Kilner announced the team at a pre-match meeting.
Peter on the left, Glenhurst and Albie up front, and Welshie from either side.
He also advised his players to change at the hotel, as most Chinese football stadia don't have washing and shower facilities that we take for granted in England. The Tsinghua Stadium, literally home to some of the local community, will not be used next season. Wuhan are set to leave their current ground for a brand new 65,000 capacity stadium, nearing completion on the edge of the city. Although the facilities may be a little dated, the pitch is in good condition, and the ambitious First Division club are hoping to gain valuable experience from their English visitors.
We take this a great chance to learn something. Maybe that's very important for our future league games.
For Brendan Elwood, the historic fixture coming just 2 days before the 10th anniversary of County's promotion from the old 4th Division was a momentous occasion.
Well, of course it's a dream really, isn't it? A dream that's come true, to be here in Wuhan in China playing one of their top teams. It is tremendous, it's wonderful. It's come after a very, very difficult season, but it's never going to be easy in that First Division. It's a terrific league, but we're stronger now than we've ever been in my time. In the 12 years that I've been, 13 years at the club, we are in the best shape we've ever been in, and I think that is just wonderful to say that, to be here, to be able to say that. And the atmosphere here is just unbelievable, and all the boys are having a great time. It's an experience that none of them may ever have had in the past and may never have in the future. So we've got to pinch ourselves a little bit and just enjoy all of this, and it'll be a great experience for the young ones. Wonderful time.
final whistle and 1-0 victory for Wuhan, thanks to Jiang Bin's splendid goal just before the hour, sparked amazing scenes as youngsters fought for prized county possessions. Leo Roger, though, just about managed to hang on to his shorts to emerge from the pack with a souvenir of his own. Thursday morning, time to say goodbye to Wuhan and prepare for a 500-mile flight to Chengdu, capital of the Sichuan province, a region populated by more than 86 million people. The arrival of County again sparked enormous media attention. 2 television stations greeted the team at the airport. And 5 stations were represented at the evening's banquet hosted by the Sichuan Sports Ministry, where Minister Chen Bao-ming concluded formalities by presenting a beautiful hand-carved football to Brendan Elwood. Chengdu's history can be traced back more than 2,000 years, but there was no time for sightseeing. The Sichuan Football Association had decided to move Saturday's game from the city's impressive stadium to a new ground in Guang'an. Train was the mode of transport used to make the 190-mile journey to Nanchong for a Friday stopover before travelling to Guang'an on match day. It wasn't just the county party who made the 4-hour journey, though. Sichuan Quanqing, Saturday's opponents, shared the same carriage. Never one to waste an opportunity, Brendan Elwood and senior county officials held an impromptu meeting to discuss the possibility of the Sichuan club visiting Edgeley Park at some point in the future. Players passed the time as players do. Football, as it seems, are the same the world over. A police escort led the club's 2 coaches all the way to Guang'an, a tortuous journey at breakneck speed along winding and bumpy roads. At the request of Mr. Elwood, the convoy eventually ground to a halt to enable passengers to stretch their legs. This unscheduled stop in a part of China unchanged in centuries was an unforgettable experience. Humble peasant farmers and children looked on in amazement at the English visitors who made the most of the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to photograph rural paddy fields. On arrival in Guang'an, the atmosphere more than 3 hours before kick-off was electric. The hotel staff were, as always, delighted to welcome their English guests. Television cameras were rolling, and the county players were happy to pose for photos and signed countless autograph books. Even the fatherly figure of Andy Kilner got in on the act. Whilst the players went to their rooms to rest before the game, the rest of the party used the opportunity to visit the former residence of one of China's most eminent politicians.
We are at the house where the Premier Deng Xiaoping was born here in 1904. It's now a shrine to probably the most famous or the Premier who did the most to benefit the people of China. He was the Premier who opened up China to the Western world. He was the one who invented the one China, two systems, and the economic growth since he established this type of glasnost has been staggering. It's averaged over 10% per annum for 18 years. So the living standards of the Chinese people, through Mr. Deng Xiaoping's foresight, has benefited the world really. So it's a very, very important place. It's quite a eerie place, and I'm just delighted that we've all come here today. I think we need to salute him because he wasn't a Stalinist. He was pro democracy, but of course, apparently in China, it is established that full democracy wouldn't work, and his system has done more for China than anybody else in the world. So very good, very pleased, and I'm glad Stockport County are here. I'm glad we're the first foreign football team ever to come here, and to show some respect, we made an absolute point of making sure that we are seen to come here.
The visit over, thoughts soon switched to the afternoon clash against Sichuan Quanqing, managed by former Bristol City boss Bobby Houghton.
We've seen the stadium. It's absolutely magnificent, the stadium. People have been coming here for 2 or 3 days from all over Sichuan province. It'll be a full house, 20,000 people. We've been mobbed, it's unbelievable. We're superstars. The children are running after everyone in the street. It's quite touching, and I'm sure the players will remember this all their life. This is beyond my wildest expectations. It's probably the proudest moment in my life to take Stockport County into China and see how we are treated as like royalty. And the people couldn't be kinder, and they couldn't have done more for us. Trip of a lifetime. Fantastic. I'd like to get a result today because they're the third top team in China. You know, they're expected to beat us here, but you never know. We might just pull a surprise off.
History was in the making. County were the first foreign side to play in this part of China, and the scenes on the way to the stadium were amazing.
It's fabulous. The whole day up to now has been an adventure. I mean, it's like exciting for us, but I mean, what's it like for them? They've probably never seen any English team here before. I mean, the pitch is very, very hard, but it's the same for both teams. But I mean, it's only going to get in the next 20 minutes. It's probably going to be another 15,000 people crammed in. I mean, it'll be a great atmosphere.
It certainly looks to be a fantastic atmosphere that the people are going to generate. I mean, there are thousands of people outside. There's supposed to be in excess of 20,000 here, and the only downside is that the heat is absolutely stifling. I've never known anything as warm as this.
It's just a dream come true. It's absolutely unbelievable that I'm stood here in the middle of the pitch with a 25,000 crowd expected here, about 30 odd degrees. It's unbelievable. I'm the luckiest man in the world, mate. Luckiest man in the world.
Neil Ross and Jonas Larsson could also count themselves lucky. What a place to be handed your county debut.
Well, we're going to play 3 at the back, leave Robert spare, hopefully behind Mike and Leo, and then we're going to play Ali Gibb and Peter Clark as wing-backs, with Colin Woodthorpe, Fred Bringleson and Jonas Larsson in the centre of midfield, with Aaron and Neil Ross up front. So, you know, it's a test for people like Neil and Jonas, but I'll learn a lot about them today.
The atmosphere just before kick-off was incredible, and although they were heavily outnumbered, County were not totally lacking in support. In such intense heat, a draw against a side unbeaten in the Chinese Premier Division was a fair and creditable result for County. And for Matt Burney, director of the British Council in southwest China, who watched the game with Brendan Elwood, a draw was a perfect diplomatic result.
It was a diplomatic result, shall we say, because you know, I'd ordered my staff to support Stockport County, and obviously they're all Chinese, and so let's say it was a diplomatic result.
The director's staff, though, were nearly cheering a County win through man of the match Aaron Wilbraham. The big striker's excellent free kick beat the keeper, but not the post.
As soon as it got brought down, seeing where it was, I felt like having it, and Leo was saying he wanted it, but I said I'm having it, and unluckily, just hit the post. Could have just gone inside the post.
Conditions were very, very difficult. I've never played in heat like that before, and to get a result, a draw, like you say, is very good.
It was really hot today. Maybe the hottest conditions I've ever played, and it was hard work, but lads stuck to it. A tricky team to play against, but we did all right and got the result in the end. 0-0. Good result against these.
For the UK lads, I should imagine that it was unbearably hot. I was actually speaking to a couple of them in the hotel lobby earlier, and they were saying that certainly this is the hottest conditions that they've ever played in. So I can imagine that what with the jet lag and what with the heat, and you know the general pace of touring China, I can imagine that they must be pretty exhausted. So I think it was a very good result actually, and a good performance.
There was still one more surprise in store for the county party. When they left the stadium, a wonderful sight greeted them, with thousands of Chinese fans lining the streets to wave goodbye to the First Division club who'd made such a big impact on their historic visit to the city of Guang'an. Saturday, May the 12th, 2001 is sure to be remembered as one of the most momentous days in Stockport County's history. Back at the hotel for the customary post-match banquet, Andy Kilner got the chance to talk shop with Bobby Houghton, and the players got the chance to relax with their Sichuan colleagues before beginning the two-part journey back to Chengdu via Nanchong. Chengdu is home to the world-famous giant panda breeding research facility, and the opportunity to view some of the rare and wonderful creatures in their natural environment was one of the tour's highlights.
Well, we'd been given a rundown of what we were going to see, and obviously the pandas, as you can see in the background, is one of them, which is amazing. I mean, I'll probably never ever see one again outside London. I mean, this was one, yeah. I don't think you can come to places like China and not go to see the main attractions, because it's just a country that is full of wonderful things, and you've got to see them. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the Forbidden City and the Terracotta Army and Tiananmen Square and the Great Wall. I actually didn't know before we came here exactly how long the Great Wall was, and I did say I think I'll run along the length of it and one day, and I don't think I'll be able to do that somehow.
Week 2 of the historic tour began with another long flight from Chengdu to Xi'an, a city that for more than 1,000 years served as the capital for nearly a dozen imperial dynasties. There was barely time to unpack before Mr. Elwood and company were back on official business at a hastily arranged press conference. Andy Kilner expertly fielded several difficult questions, and he drew wry smiles from local journalists when he politely reminded them that County finished higher than Crystal Palace, who do, of course, have a famous Chinese player in their team. Another banquet preceded an important meeting hosted by Wang Jianjun, director of Friday's opponents Shaanxi Gaoli, newly promoted to the Chinese Premier Division.
我想英国是大家众所周知的是现代足球的发源地。
England is the original birthplace of modern football, and Stockport Club has a long history, and they have a rich experience. So I think we will learn a lot of things from Stockport.
Tuesday morning gave the party the opportunity to make the 20-mile journey to the east of Xi'an to visit the underground army of terracotta warriors, discovered as recently as 1974 by local peasants digging a well. More than 7,000 life-sized figures of horses and warriors were created to protect the tomb of Qin Shi Huangji, considered to be the first ruler of a united China more than 2,000 years ago. Several 100,000 workers spent 36 years building the tomb on the orders of the 13-year-old emperor, and it's that everyone involved in its design and construction were buried alive in the creation.
You know, it's a fantastic experience. Like you say, you know, we've spent most of our time either on a plane or on a coach. Not had very much time for ourselves, but you know, today's you know, one of the things the players have been looking forward to, and you know, to see all the army out there is remarkable.
Xi'an also provided the opportunity to view their magnificent new stadium, which has recently staged a couple of international football fixtures. With Beijing in the frame to host the 2008 Olympic Games, China looks certain to throw their hat in the ring to stage the World Cup finals soon after.
Well, the Olympics first. They're trying to get the 2008 Olympics. You know, that, of course, would be good for sport here because it immediately means that so many new stadia built. But the stadia here are fantastic. I mean, in Shanghai, there's 3 world-class stadia, and you know, there's one just been built in Kunming.
I actually think that if China is granted the 2008 Olympic Games, there is no reason why they shouldn't go for the World Cup either, because they certainly have the organisational skills. I've seen it with my own eyes. They have the energy, and I'm sure you realise that they have a lot of energy. And so I don't see what is stopping them.
That's almost beyond doubt. I mean, the effort that they're putting into it, the sort of stuff we've seen over the 2 weeks of the tour. Every city we visit, we have a civic reception. You've seen the motor cavalcades, police escorts, the whole business. They're going into football in a big way. They're paying big money not only to the players but to foreign coaches. They obviously mean to advance themselves as a football nation.
This country is making giant strides in football matters. They're building 10 Wembleys. You know, we're only building one or trying to build one. They're building 10 stadiums just outside Wuhan here. This stadium is 30 years old. They're building a new one. It'll be ready in October, 65,000 with a monorail system to it, with training facilities, mind-boggling facilities. If you just expand that, 1.2 billion people, you can say that sooner or later China's going to win the World Cup, and it might be sooner rather than later.
Oh, there's no doubt about that, just because of the size of the place. You know, this place is 5 times as big as America. You know, the province that I work in, Sichuan, you know, it's bigger in population terms than any European country. So when you're dealing with those sort of numbers, that, you know, once the league is in place for a long time and there's so much money coming into the game, channeled into the younger, you know, the grassroots, I think there will be a real football power, but maybe 10, 15 years down the road.
Baoji was chosen to stage the tour's final fixture. Non-playing staff made the 110-mile journey on the Wednesday afternoon. The players followed 24 hours later. Situated 110 miles west of Xi'an in the Shaanxi province, the Baoji district is predominantly industrial, with a population approaching 3 million people. Once again, the red carpet was rolled out for club officials, with the mayor hosting a formal meeting at the city's most prestigious hotel.
The importance of the visit of Stockport is not only about football, but about the establishment of the relationship between two cities, Stockport and Baoji, and in terms of culture, education, economic.
Coaching Chinese boys and girls was high on the Hope Tour agenda. In Xi'an, a formal agreement for a permanent link and future cooperation was signed at the Bo Ai Soccer School, one of just 9 similar establishments in the Sichuan province.
This is the best way and quickest way to improve our players' skills, even our coaches' skills and experience and knowledge.
Despite the communication difficulties, the local youngsters soon came to terms with the promptings of the county coaching staff and half a dozen young professionals who had volunteered their services. Football is, of course, the universal language. Facilities, though, were poor, and this is clearly an area that requires substantial investment if China are to take the next step in becoming a major power in world football. Chinese football at professional level is flourishing, but at grassroots and youth level it falls way behind the likes of England's academies and schools of excellence. The second session, a couple of days later, was held in Baoji's main stadium, the venue for Friday's game against Shaanxi Gaoli. Once again, the trainees were courteous, attentive and delighted to receive their Hope Tour t-shirts. And this time, on an excellent surface, the county coaching team were really able to put the children through their paces.
Make sure you keep your eyes on the ball. Well, I mean, I'm looking at one lad in particular. It's easy to pick someone out after 5 or 10 minutes, but the boy with the long shorts is very technically good. Is indeed, quite a few of them are technically very good. Definitely on a par with, I would say, with their centre of excellence boys back in UK.
Whilst the technical work was taking place, ground staff were busily preparing the stadium for the big game. Some of their methods were conventional, some, most certainly, were not. All the activity at the stadium had alerted the attention of the colourful and very noisy Gaoli band. 20,000 fans are expected to pack the ground on Friday afternoon. It promises to be another tremendous occasion. The rewarding couple of hours coaching passed quickly and was clearly enjoyed by the youngsters, training staff and the band. Despite the problem of being so far from home, the county squad's pre-match preparation is pretty much as normal.
The travelling has made my job a lot harder in respect that they sat down for hours on the bus and backs are stiff, legs are stiff. And, you know, that's injury-prone material, really. If they get on the pitch and they're stiff, it's always a chance of a muscle being pulled or something being strained. So, really, that's the only problem that's arose for me.
The club's medical team can also report a relatively trouble-free tour.
So far, it's not been difficult. It's actually gone very smoothly. We had no idea what to expect when we came out here, so we've actually brought an awful lot of stuff with us. But so far, fortunately, we haven't had to use that much of it.
I think we've done okay. Your worst scenario is if you get a major injury, which fortunately we've avoided. I mean, you cannot go into any game and say we are not going to get a major injury. It can happen at any time. So we brought all the immobilising equipment for fractures, which could occur. And because we didn't know what the situation was here in China with that equipment, and so that's the major worry for me. We would say before we go out on these games that we just hope we don't get a major injury.
Well, we start off preparing for the trip. We have to make sure all the lads have had the right and relevant vaccinations first. So that's the sort of first job to do, and that was difficult on this trip because ideally you like to do them a few weeks beforehand, but we always had games coming up and important games. And we didn't want the lads to react to them, so we really had to leave until after the QPR when we were safe, which was the slight first problem. Secondly, we brought a lot of stuff with us, probably too much, just because we had no idea what to expect, particularly going out into the sort of west where we we weren't sure what the facilities would be. But in fact, they've been very good to us and they've helped us over here. I've made contact with the doctors when I've got to the ground and the facilities have been excellent.
Everybody was virtually fit that we brought out here because, you know, we didn't want to bring players who were injured and were going to not participate at all. Kareem's picked up an injury in the first game. It's not bad, but we're not going to risk him anymore along the line. And nothing from yesterday apart from a few blisters. So hopefully in this next game we're going to be injury-free and, you know, so the lads can go through this summer and have a nice break.
Most of the lads at some stage have had bouts of diarrhoea, to be fair, but quite easily treatable. So it's been, yeah, generally busy, but nothing serious. We had one injury early on that Roger was dealing with Kareem, but otherwise, no, I've been reasonably okay.
One of the main objectives of the Hope Tour was to pave the way for 25 underprivileged Chinese children to visit Stockport and take part in a specially prepared football and educational programme. And for tour sponsor Peter Sullivan, the worthy project nearing fruition was very satisfying.
It gives me a fantastic lift because not only are they wearing our shirts today with Anglo-European all over, they're coming over to England. I think they're going to get one hell of a culture shock. They're going to be educated, like you say, in the mornings English, in the afternoon soccer, and there'll be two of them staying at my house also. I'm looking forward to that.
As the Gowlee players arrive at the ground, there's already an incredible atmosphere inside the stadium.
I mean, what with an hour to go before kick-off and the stadium's already filling up, hear the noise behind me now, it's going to be another fantastic afternoon, I'm sure.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's just a totally different experience. I mean, I think I'm on the bench today, but which is a bit disappointing, but all I've got to do is hope I get on.
No, it's hard to think what's going to be next. I mean, we said the Wembley trips were the pinnacle, and then the Coca-Cola trip to the semi-final was the pinnacle, and we've topped it again. It's hard to see how we're going to follow this.
Mike Flynn led out the county team into a stadium where Gowlee had never tasted defeat. And with the incredible noise reverberating around the terraces, the Hatters were expecting to face a stern examination under the blazing Chinese sun. It had been decided before the game that penalties would settle the outcome if the match was drawn. The first 12, including one each from county keeper Lee Jones and his opposite number, were all successful. Case of unlucky 13 for Keith Briggs. And Gowlee made the most of their opportunity.
Penalty's never an easy way to lose, but Cap's a good tour, like in a bit of a bad light, but everybody's worked hard, we've really enjoyed it, so there's no complaints from our side.
Without a goal for his new club, Glyn Hurst admitted that nerves kicked in when he stepped forward to take his penalty.
Yeah, it was quite a bit because, I mean, I haven't scored for a while, so the goal tends to become smaller the longer you go without scoring. But delighted, but end of the day, there's no more games. I'll have to wait until pre-season now, but that just gives you a bit of self-belief, even though it's a penalty, to go on and get more goals now.
After the game, it was back to Xi'an for an overnight stop before an early morning flight to Beijing and an opportunity to witness firsthand the Great Wall of China. Winding from the Yellow Sea through 5 provinces, 2 autonomous regions and up into the Gobi Desert, stepping onto the wall is a truly remarkable experience.
It's one of the places I've always wanted to go to, and it's quite an experience.
It's got to be the best thing, isn't it? I mean, the views from up here are incredible. You know, you've got them on camera yourself. You know, it's a feat, absolute feat of amazing to be able to build this so many years ago. As I say, it's really great for me to come here and see this.
Yeah, we haven't had much time due to the amount of travelling we've done, and there's only 2 free games, but we have done a hell of a lot of travelling, so it's nice to be able to come and see places like this.
The final official function for the county party was a poolside barbecue at the British Embassy. It gave the players a chance to relax, enjoy the food, and 1 or 2 very familiar drinks. Sunday morning, time to go home. But as the players checked in at Beijing Airport, for some there was still work to be done.
Mick and myself have found ourselves doing all the lugging around, or in the main part the lugging around. The young boys have helped us, but we knew that was going to be part of our duties and responsibilities when we were here, so we've enjoyed it overall, but that certainly was an aspect which I could have done without.
Moving a substantial amount of kit around, though, wasn't helped by the amount of travelling undertaken in China.
That was one of the problems, and I do feel it's probably something we can learn from this trip, and in the future, if we're going to make this venture again, then there should be less travelling. So certainly on the laundry side it was a problem, but we overcame it and mixed and matched where we needed to, and hopefully everything worked out right.
The whole China experience had been a real eye-opener for the players, but it was perhaps the food that had provided the biggest culture shock.
It's been okay. I think I've eaten healthier than I have for a long time. I think I've virtually turned into a vegetarian, so but it's probably feel a benefit when I get back home.
I don't want to say how I feel about the food, but it's disgusting. But it's been a totally different experience out here. It's been great.
I've picked at things, you know. It's not been bad. Too many banquets, but you know the snake was nice.
I think most of the players, myself, were expecting Chinese like the Chinese at home, you know, the chip shops, but you know it's nothing like that. You know, to keep seeing the chickens' heads come out and you know the chicken's feet, it's a little bit off-putting really. You know, and seeing the little master angus nibbling away at chickens' heads and that, it's difficult.
I mean, there are some things that you wouldn't eat. You try them and you don't you don't, you know, you have a little taste and that's it. You put it back if you don't like it. But the majority of it's very good. The majority of it's very good. Yeah, I'm enjoying it, I've got to say.
Apart from the food and all that, it's been an exciting journey, and it's nice to come over here, and I'm looking forward to going home now.
The remarkable tour is over. It's not been easy, and at times it's been exhausting. The party travelled more than 5,000 miles in China. 4 internal flights, 2 train journeys and countless coach trips, visiting 4 provinces and 6 major cities. Everyone was in agreement, though, the wonderful trip of a lifetime had been a huge success.
Nothing but good can come of this. What eventually comes, we don't know, but I feel that it's a great experience for the club, and I think we can benefit somewhere along the line from all of this exposure to China. I want to make it long term. I don't want to think we come one year and then it's forgotten.
It's excellent PR for Stockport. I also think that, you know, if you're looking at it in community terms, in international community terms, I think through sport and in particular through football, you can achieve a lot in actually understanding more about other people's cultures. I mean, it frightens me sometimes, the lack of understanding that exists about China amongst people in the UK, and at the same time it frightens me also about the lack of understanding that exists amongst Chinese people regarding Britain. And so I think that something like this can actually build bridges and can actually help people understand about different cultures and about different peoples. And ultimately, if you're looking at a long-term goal, that you know, projects like this can go a long way in securing peace between 2 nations or 2 peoples. So I think, you know, there is a lot to be said for this type of project.
There have been British clubs visiting China, but usually only for a few days, and usually only to the developed cities in the east of China, like Beijing and Shanghai. What makes Stockport's visit really unusual is that they've been here for nearly 2 weeks. They've visited 3 cities, and they're all in the west of China, which is the less developed, poorer half of China. And that's really very unusual. I very much doubt whether any of those clubs that they've played have ever played against European opposition. And so it's been very exciting for the people in those cities to be able to watch a British team, and it's been very useful for the Chinese clubs to get that sort of experience of playing against a British team.
It's Stockport County who are leading the way in Western China, not Man United, not Liverpool, not anybody else, but Stockport County, and that makes me very proud.